afternoon, and welcome to SPK, A Country Divided. I'm Taylor, and I have the honor to be accompanied by Evan. We are your moderators for today's show.
SPK was created to be a voice for our generation. We use this platform to discuss issues from a kid's perspective. Now I have the pleasure of introducing our panelists. Please say your name, age, and favorite thing to do. Let's start with Colin.
Hi, I'm Colin. I'm 10 years old, and what I like to do in my free time is play basketball.
Ailani.
Good afternoon. My name is Ailani. I'm 13 years old, and I enjoy dancing.
Anila.
Hi guys, I'm Anila. I'm a freshman, and in my free time, I like to sleep.
Kennedy.
Hi, my name is Kennedy. I'm a freshman, and I also like to play basketball in my free time.
You may have noticed a new face on our panel. This week, we have a special guest, Cornell, joining us. Cornell, please introduce yourself.
Hello, and in my free time, I like to play baseball.
Thank you, Cornell, and it is great having you this week. We have a lot to discuss this week, so let's jump right into it. I was going to jump right into, online school versus in-person school, but I see we're all wearing shirts that have to do either Black Panther, Black Lives Matter, or the presidential candidates. So I think we should all go around and pretty much explain what shirts we're wearing and like what they mean to us and why they're important. I'll go first. I'm wearing a shirt. It says "Freedom, Justice, and Equality by any means necessary." That's a quote by Malcolm X. And I think in the times we are right now, it's really important to remember that we're really going to need to go above and beyond if we really need change. All right, why not Evan go first or go next?
Okay, so I'm wearing a Black Panther shirt, and the reason I'm wearing this is because, as we all know, Chadwick Boseman recently passed away. Yep, the Wakanda Forever. He recently passed away, and I have a white and a black version of this, and I wore the black version not only because of the Black Lives Matter, but also because of his death. So,
Colin, why don't you continue?
I'm wearing Biden-Harris 2020 vote. The reason why I'm wearing this because we're in this situation now where the debates are going on. Who are you going to vote for? Who are you going to trust? Donald Trump and Mike Pence or Biden and Kamala Harris?
Thank you. How about Nyla?
Okay, so my shirt says Biden Harris for the soul of our nation 2020 with the inclusivity of the fist. And I think that it's very important right now, especially that, we restore the soul and the foundation of what America was theoretically supposed to be. And I think that in this time, in this 7-month, 8-month span period, we've kind of lost ourselves. And I think that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris could restore our nation.
I completely agree. How about you, Ailani?
I'm also wearing a Biden-Harris 2020 shirt in pink and green because, as you know, Kamala Harris is an AKA. This shirt is important to me because it is we need to vote for in this next election, and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are the only ones that can change what's going on right now.
Thank you, Ailani. Cornell, what are you wearing?
I'm wearing a Men of Tomorrow shirt. It's like a group I'm in, and like we try to make change with each other. They teach you things about life and different components. So especially they talk about voting and how to spend our money correctly, and I feel like it's important.
Thank you, Cornell. What about you, Kennedy?
I am wearing a I Can't Breathe Black Lives Matter shirt because it represents George Floyd, and we really need everyone to hear our voices when we say that we can't breathe. And if we can't breathe, that means that we need change.
Thank you to everyone who shared what shirts they're wearing. Okay, now we can jump into the first topic. School has finally opened back up, but not in the way we expected. Some, like me, have gone back to school in person, while some have moved online. What are your thoughts on the new school structure and what's your experience? Kennedy, let's start with you.
For me, 8 months ago, I could not imagine, the time that we're in right now. This is my first year of high school, and I definitely did not think that this is how it would go. but we have to make do with what we have. So online for me, it seems like a lot, but I'm starting to get used to it. So I think as the school year progresses, I'm going to get used to it, and then eventually we'll get back in school.
Evan, how do you feel about the new school structure?
Personally, I haven't gone back to in person yet, but as I've been online, I've been doing everything that the in person kids have been doing. Everything is the same. I'm learning the same days as them. We're all learning the same subject, and we're staying at the same pace as each other. If you can learn ahead, the teachers will allow you to learn ahead and they'll teach you their lessons ahead. But if you need to slow down, it's just like being in regular school. Just I can stay home and I don't have to wear a mask.
Ilani, I know you've always been an online student, so do you have any advice to share that might make the transition to online school a little easier?
So this is actually my second year of doing online school, and it was actually a very smooth transition because I didn't have to get acclimated to anything that was different. But if you are one of those students that are going to transition to online school, it's very important that for me, especially for me, it's that you do a one subject per day. It is more easier and it's more structured, like kind of how you're in brick and mortar schools. So that's something that you should do if you're interested in going to online school.
Thank you very much for that advice. For me personally, like I said before, I am going back to in-person school, and it's definitely very different. We have to wear masks 24/7 unless we ask for a mask break, which doesn't happen that often. We have to walk in the hallways one way. Our desks are very separated, so we don't get that social, I guess, activity or that social interaction that like we usually hope for at school. So it's definitely different, but the learning is a lot easier. So I definitely, when I chose in-person school, I had my like how I learned best in mind. And I think if I did online school, I would not be succeeding the way I am right now. So
I have something to say. You could not have told 11-year-old Anila that she was going to start high school like this. You could not have told her that because she would look at you like you were crazy. But now that we are in this situation and that I have had to start high school like this, and I've had to adjust my view on the beginning of high school experience, I find joy in knowing that I'm a living part of history, and that I will be able to teach my children this, and this makes me stronger because it helps me to adapt to new changes. It allows us as a collective people to know that nothing stays the same, that we cannot be complacent, and that we have to roll with the punches, and that whatever comes, because we are strong and because we go through things together and we are united, that we can get through anything.
yeah, when you said the part about being part of history and being able to teach our children that, I think that's really important and a really good way to look at things. So instead of looking at the negatives, looking at the positive, how this is going to make us stronger in the future, how this is going to affect us and our pretty much personalities, the way we do things when we get older.
Thank you for your comments. Now let's discuss the events regarding Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death was a tragedy that will absolutely alter the direction of our country. With all of her work on gender equality, her successor will have big shoes to fill. Colin, how do you think Ginsburg's death will affect America, and how has it affected you?
Well, she was a great leader for our Supreme Court. She was right for the job. She made some mistakes, but she didn't make a lot. I mean, the person that Trump picked, I don't even know her name, so I can't really tell you about her, but she's not the right person to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I think she was good for the job, and it's sad that she died. It's really sad.
Just to let you know,
Well,
her name is Amy Coney Barrett. Go ahead, Iloni.
As someone who as someone who wants to be a Supreme Court justice in the future, I do look up to Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Sonia Sotomayor. I think they were really influential, and they made a lot of the decisions that they made, they impacted not only everyone but women in particular. And without Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a lot of the things that we can do today, we won't be able to do. And I feel like the decision of who should take Ruth Bader Ginsburg's spot should be up to the next president of the United States.
Cornell, how do you feel about this? Or you can go next time, Nyla.
I feel like it's really big because she was really important in the process of gender equality, and she was the second, I think, Supreme Court justice. I forgot the lady's name who went before her, but she really made huge steps in gender equality. She hasn't directly yet, but I can see how it affected many other people in that situation.
Nyla?
I think this is a topic that comes with different perspectives, because as females, as girls who will become women, we know that she was very influential in what rights we will have as women when we get older. And I try to look on the bright side of things, but as I sit and think and evaluate what her death means to so many people, I am reminded of the fact that Supreme Court justices hold so much in their hands that they could redo everything that people have worked so hard for. So I think that we should allow her dying wish to be fulfilled, that the next president refill her spot, because I think Justice Ginsburg knew that we were voting to replace her. She stood strong and firm for the time that she had left, but she also knew that this election, this vote, is so important to the people of America, and in particular the women and African Americans and the people of color in America, because it will define what happens for the rest of that whoever fills her seat the rest of their lives. So it's very kind of frightening for me to imagine what's going to happen next and what the future is going to hold, because right now it's shaky and I don't know what to think. So
yeah, to add on to what Nyla said, we really should wait after the election, because Trump is worrying about other stuff way too soon. He's already saying, "Oh, I'm gonna have this she's gonna be our Supreme Court justice," when we still haven't got this COVID under control, and he has the COVID. And really, we should be thinking about other things besides the Supreme Court right now. After the election's over, then we can think about that. But right now, we need to get this global pandemic under control.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of what everyone else is saying, I completely agree. And even if we completely disregard who the president is, I think we should wait until the next election, because replacing Ruth Bader Ginsburg, it needs to be someone with the same views as her, the same, I guess, morals as her, and that's going to be very difficult to find. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was definitely one in a million. So finding her is not going to take a couple weeks or even like a month or two. It's going to take a while, at least someone that will be able to fill those shoes that she has. So I think waiting till the next election would be best.
I agree with that too. And I just want to say that she was a very strong person. She did so much, and she changed and impacted so many people's lives while she was fighting cancer. So she was very strong. And I do agree with Taylor when she says that it is going to take some time to find someone else like her, if we even can.
So here's what
I agree with Colin.
Cornell, I think you're muted.
Oh, I apologize. But I agree with Colin because Trump is like only focused about himself right now and how it's going to boost his political status. And he's not really worried about other people or himself in that matter, with the matter of COVID and the other things that are going on in America. Like, he's not really focused on anything except himself and what he can get from the situation.
So here's what I had to say about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was a great leader, phenomenal, and basically just gonna cut to the chase here. I think that women in particular, even though she was an equal justice, gender equality, she did do that, and she did say, oh, well, we can't just do it for women. We have to go for men too and help them because there's some issues going on. But I think that women in particular are taking this very hard that she has died, but she's left behind a great legacy. And we can't just, I don't see what, yeah, I agree with Colin. We need to wait till the next election because we can't just brush over her and now, oh yeah, let's get her in here. Like, you just got COVID, Mr. President. You just got COVID and you're worried about getting somebody else into
I totally.
So yeah, that was my personal opinion, and I was just kind of, saying, going along with you guys have to say, but then I was just a little bit extra.
Yeah, I mean, if no one else has anything, go for it.
I totally agree with Evan. Within 2 weeks, Trump already decided who he wanted to fill in the spot of Supreme Court Justice. And I feel like the next president of the United States, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, I feel like they know who would be the right decision for the next Supreme Court Justice. And it's important that we wait a little while longer and we cast in our vote so they will become our next president and vice president. So we will have the right person sitting at the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I agree with Ailani and also with Miss Celeste. I think that the next president does need to pick him, pick the replacement for his seat. But I also think that the insensitivity that came about from this issue, where the list of candidates was posted a week before this lady was even passed away. I just think the insensitivity of that whole situation just goes to show what the mind of this man is doing and how he views everything as like a joke.
I think we can all agree that Ruth Bader Ginsburg was an influential and powerful woman who has done amazing things for our country and will truly be missed. Along with the death of Ginsburg, we were also greeted with the loss of Chadwick Boseman, an amazing and strong actor who embodied the first Black superhero, Black Panther, along with other inspiring roles. How has everyone felt about the passing of Chadwick Boseman? Anila, how about you start us off?
Okay, well, seeing as he was the first Black superhero, that means a lot to so many people, especially Black boys in particular, to see someone who looks like them on the screen representing what white men have represented for such a long time. And I've seen on social media the little boys who are taking their action figures, putting them in circles and placing Chadwick Boseman in the middle of those circles and allowing his death to live, allowing his legacy to live on through them. And I think that's just so important because he, as an actor, played so many influential roles. He was James Brown. He was Jackie Robinson. He was in 21 Bridges. He was in all of these things that mark what an amazing person he was. And you saw the news where he gave up some of his salary for the actress, for his co-actress, so she could be paid what she asked for, because he knew that meant something to her. And I think that goes to show that he was just an amazing person. You know, all these actors, we don't get to see who they really are, you know, personally. We just get to see them on the screen portraying a character. And for his death and for all these things to come out, and for us to not even know about it, that he dealt with that in almost complete silence, and that he was so strong through that and continued to persevere and didn't let that be an excuse for him for anything. I think that.
Cornell, what do you think?
I think that it's really sad because the reason why I really started playing baseball because I saw him play in the movie Forrest, and how he had to go against diversity on the baseball field and everyday life. Be powerful for him at a young age. I saw the movie around like when I was baseball ever since, and that's been my goal is to try to model him even in those diverse situations. Yeah, and I feel like, and then he has been like a real vocal point for like everybody who really watched Black Panther because that's as Anila said that's like the first real Black superhero really portrayed in a big movie like this. So yeah, I think it's sad.
Just to add on to that, he had a real impact on me because when I watched the movie, it was just so good. The end moment is what caught me when Killmonger said, "I will jump off the ships besides bondage." I don't know the whole thing, but I know he said something like that. That just really just put something in me. It's just I really wanted to see the Black Panther 2 and see what they had in store. But when he died, it was just different because even though I don't know the guy, I don't know the guy. It just made me feel weird inside because you just lost your first Black superhero. And he just had a big impact on the Marvel and Disney and on little boys. I mean, it didn't have an impact on our generation, and it had an impact on all generations. So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. Okay. So just to add on to that, he was the first Black superhero, and one of the most when he died, I feel like one of the most important parts to the movie to me. I really liked the scene, but the most important part to me in the show that I really liked was when he did the Wakanda Forever, and when that first came out. Now I feel like that's the only part of the movie that like you really need to know to feel him because if you watch the whole movie, you feel his vibe. And like Colin just said, he felt weird. And the reason you feel weird is because he's the type of person who you don't need to know. You can see him once and you could be like, oh yeah, I could be friends with him and like it would just be really cool, not only because he's an actor, because he has the personality that I would like to be around.
For me, it was really a shock. Like, I honestly couldn't believe it. And the fact that he had cancer and he still, played different roles, just showed you how strong he was and how the movie Black Panther had a big impact on so many people. And I just love the movie. I love the culture, how Wakanda, it was very cultural. And I like that. And the fact that he played Jackie Robinson in all these different roles, that just shows like he has such an impact. And he played all these different characters and people. And it was just amazing because, he really wanted to show how we as Black people have improved over the years and how we've broken barriers and how strong we are.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I remember when I first found that he died, I was in a room, I was locked up in my room. I think I was doing like my science homework or something. And then I get this text from the group chat and it was like, you see Chadwick Boseman die. And I was like, this is a joke. That's not like something funny to joke about. But it was actually true because then I saw on the news. I was literally heartbroken. And I think it's important we should all go around and share one of our favorite scenes from Black Panther. I go first. What my favorite scene was when like T'Challa like came back to Wakanda and rose and said like I am not dead, and all injustices, everything is going on in the world aside. That was just a really cool part of the movie. It was just so powerful. I remember getting goosebumps.
I feel like I want to say how it impacted me, but I feel like for the time that Chadwick Boseman did have here, he impacted so many people because he showed our generation, specifically African American boys, that you can be something and you can make an impact on society. And like Colin said, my favorite scene from Black Panther is when Killmonger was right by Black Panther's side. And I remember his dad told him that you should always see the sunsets in Wakanda. And that was like the last, and he got to see that before he died. And I just felt that was just that impacted me so much.
Yeah, I think I have a tie between my favorite parts. You know, the train, when they fought on the train, when him and Killmonger were fighting on the train. I think that is one of my favorite moments in the movie. But also, I think my number one would have to be when he was buried in the red sand, and you saw him talk to his dad, I believe, in the trees, and he woke up in almost like complete fear of what he had just seen and what he had just experienced. And I think I just thought that was so powerful in a movie for a Black man to go and to be able to talk to his dad and understand his feelings, that it's okay to be, frightened, and that what you're going through now, you have to do to leave a legacy.
Yes, and one thing I would like to add on, I have like two favorite scenes, is when Killmonger was about to kill Black Panther's sister and how he jumped on the train track to save her sister's life, which is really impactful to me because I have a sister, and if someone was about to kill her, I would do the same thing because I love my sister and I love everybody. So it's just made me, it was just powerful.
I agree with that scene. I just
my
really
favorite
liked
scene
all the different
was
scenes.
when
I liked all the scenes where he was with his sibling, and I just liked the connection that they had, like the casino scene where, the whole fight broke out, and she was driving his sister was driving the car, and they were together, and when she was coming up with new costume ideas and stuff, I just like seeing the different scenes where they were really together and they connected.
My favorite scene was, if you didn't know, the meme that just came out where it was like, "What are those?" and everybody would go up to people's shoes and be like, "What are those?" So in the movie, Shuri comes up to Chadwick because she's trying to show him the suit. He's wearing his sandals, and she's like, "Oh, the real question is, what are those?" And he goes, "These are my royal slippers," or something like that. And then she introduces him to the suit. And the reason that that's kind of my favorite is because it was hilarious to me. And the other thing is that I am kind of really into sneakers, so that's why that was my favorite scene.
Cornell, I think you had something to say. What's your favorite scene, or how do you feel about everything?
My favorite scene was when Killmonger was about to Wakanda's ships and stuff. It's like the shipment out of with the guns and whatever he had in the cargo. When he came back and he said, "I'm not dead," it's because that they really thought that Killmonger thought that he killed him, but then he came back and fought to protect his country from being like America is now trying to rule over and not trying to be how they were before, because they were a nation. But then Killmonger tried to, from his standpoint, he lived like a Black man in America, scared of the police, the oppression and everything. And it was kind of sad how he had to have that way, like how we live today. And when I heard T'Challa say, "I'm not dead," it was impactful because they thought that he was dead and he had to come back to save everything. that was about to happen for Wakanda became like everyone else.
Let's move on to the next topic. One that's important for many of us to hear. With the presidential election right around the corner, it's more important than ever to register to vote. Kennedy, why don't you begin telling us why voting is more important than ever in this astonishing time?
To me, voting is super important, and we you guys have to go out and vote. We're not old enough to vote yet, but if you're 16, you can go and register to vote so that you can vote when you're 18, because you guys, a lot of kids that are our age may think that it's not very important, but what people don't realize is that we're voting for our future. So stuff is going to apply to us. So we have to make sure that we spread the word to go and vote, because it's super important, and we cannot have Trump our president for another 4 years, because as you can see, things are not that great right now. So we have to be able to vote Joe Biden and Kamala Harris into office so that we can start to kind of repair the damages that Trump has made, so that we can continue to move on. And things like Black Lives Matter, we can start working on justice for all, true justice for all, and equality for everyone.
I completely
Yes.
agree with that. Sorry, go ahead, Colin.
Oh, what Kennedy said was completely perfect. I mean, with me is who has a plan. Trump has no plan to what he's gonna do. He just does it when he feels like it. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, on the other hand, they have a plan. They know what they're gonna do, so they can execute it and get it done at a high level. But Trump, he doesn't have that plan. That's why he's not getting these votes, and that's why he's losing.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the destruction that has been caused in just 4 years is imaginable. I think I'm saying that wrong, but I can't picture it, and for that to happen for another 4 years is just soul crushing. So, and I know that especially for our freshmen, the next time an election comes around, we will be able to vote. So this vote that our parents and our grandparents and now everybody else is voting matters to us in particular, because this is our future, and everybody wants their children to be better than they were, and for the generations that come after them to do so much. And this election is one of the biggest elections that has come in the history of elections. And I know that is a lot of children think it's not important for them to keep up with dates and for them to know what's happening because we can't vote. But no, that is the exact reason why you should, because you should have those conversations with your parents. You should have those conversations with your family so that they know how you feel and how you think the election is going to impact your future. And for those teenagers out there who are not yet registered to vote, we beg, we plead with you to vote, to send in your ballots, because not voting at all is a vote for Trump, and we don't want that. So we need you to go to the polls, mail in your ballot, because your voice does count. For those people who say, no, my voice doesn't count, it doesn't matter, we saw that in the last election, it really does. It counts, because when you don't vote, things happen like this where the country gets torn apart. So yes, you have to vote. Please, please, please vote.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, if you have the mindset of, oh, if I just don't vote, nothing's going to happen, I'm just one person, I'm telling you, millions of people probably have that mindset. So your one vote will make a big difference. And I saw this post on TikTok, not on TikTok, on Instagram. I just screenshotted it. You've probably seen it around, but it's this post where it says, it's about, I won't read them all because it's a lot, but it's about Black Lives Matter. It's about saving democracy. It's about systematic racism, gender equality, and it keeps going on pretty much about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris' point. And at the end, it's not about Joe Biden. So we're not, as much as we are voting against Trump, we're also voting because we genuinely do agree with a lot of Biden's points and morals. So if you just keep that in mind, don't vote for, like, even if you are Democrat or Republican, don't vote for your party. Vote for who you genuinely think is right for this country, and I think that will make a big difference in America.
Yes. So I think I could just to say what Colin kind of said. It is important to vote because we need change in the world right now, especially with Trump in office. And the fact that if you saw the debate, if you didn't see the debate, you probably heard that it was just Trump yelling over Biden. Biden's an old man, probably 78 something years old. He's not going to scream back at Trump so that he can speak. He's not doing that. He's just going to sit there and let Trump blab and blab and blab and blab. See, that's all it was. Trump over talking Biden. Because Biden had good points, just like you guys said. Biden has a plan, Trump has no plan. So what's Trump gonna do? He's gonna try and find these deep little skin holes and try to do whatever it takes. All he wants is to win the election again. That's all he wants.
What Evan just said was a perfect example, which is what I'm going back is the moderator had no control over both of those men. Biden called him a clown. Trump was speaking over him. See, if Medea was the moderator, she would have turned that thing off. She would have said, Trump, if you don't be quiet, I'm about to hit you with this cane. Don't make me come over there.
Cornell, I believe you have something to say.
On the topic of the debate, it's not supposed to me, it was actually kind of funny because how they were fighting like children, and out of the millions of people that we have in America, those two people are trying to get into office, and they're going to control what we do for the next 4 years. And I don't think that there really is one deciding person that we would go for, because it really goes down to morals, and the moderator had to be like a babysitter for them. And as grown men who have a high political status should not be acting like that.
Yes, and
at this point, you have. Oh, you can go, Alani.
And yes, and what we have to do is we cannot have another 4 years of Donald Trump in office. We can't do that. We have to go out and vote. It is so important that we vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in this election. So the issues that we have right now, such as coronavirus, equality, all global warming, all the issues that are very important to us, they are the only ones that can help us out. So it is very important that we vote for this election.
At this point, I think that we don't need to be looking at, who they are as a person. We need to look at their goals. Like Joe Biden, he has goals. Trump, he doesn't really have goals. His goal is to take over and to do what he wants. So at this point, we just have to look at the goals, because Trump his goals are not what we need for the next 4 years. Joe Biden's goals and Kamala Harris's goals is what we need for the next 4 years. Like Taylor said, the Black Lives Matter and just different things. We need goals. We need to look at goals. We don't need to look at personality as much. If Joe Biden says something, yeah, he said that, but we can't. Trump has said more, and we can't just go off to Trump because Joe Biden said this one thing, because Trump is he's doing all this stuff, and we're at proof, this whole year is proof that he has not done a great job in his presidency. So we can't have this anymore. He doesn't have a grasp of the coronavirus. He has it himself now. And at the debate, he said, Joe Biden could be 200 feet away from me and he'll still wear the biggest mask I have ever seen. And as we all see now, and most of us have seen and know that should have been the mask that he should have been wearing, because, look where he's at now. He's at Walter Reed Hospital. So Joe Biden is doing the right thing. He's showing and setting an example for his people. He's wearing a mask. Joe Biden is really doing what Trump should be doing. So I'm not going to say he is the president, but he's acting as the president because he's setting a good example. Trump is not setting a good example. So we have to look at goals.
Yes, just for a question for everybody. Do you think there should be a second debate or not? I think there should not be a second debate. Just shut it down. Just let people send in their ballots or go to the polls and vote. And whoever wins, that's our president.
Yeah, that first debate was oh my goodness. The first 5 to 15 minutes was just like it was one of those things where you sit for a little while and you don't even want to hear the rest. You close it off. Either that or you want to hear the rest because you're curious what other foolishness is about to happen. And if you know the family I come from, I have a strong personality, and I'm one of those people who will yell at the TV and know it won't yell back. So, and I go to a very diverse school where we talk about these things, and the diversity in my school is where I'm one of the onlys. So we as Black boys and girls know how that feels. So I'm the only Black girl, or I'm the only Black person, or I'm the only one who wants to vote for who wants Biden in office. So to have those conversations and to hear the perspectives of what other children have to say, and to know that they don't hear themselves when they talk, that they're just totally oblivious to everything that's going on in the media and want to twist everything in their own little way. And I think that is scary because these are the people who will be voting in the next election, like I said. And I'm with Miss Blythe. No, we cannot have any more debates. It was just a total sham. It was ridiculous. And yeah, no more debates. No more debates.
Okay. I was about to grab that and hit the TV. So you know there should be no more
I would have to disagree. I would have to disagree. I would have to disagree with Nyla. I had to agree with Kat. There had to be there. I believe that there would have to be another debate because like we didn't really hear any of the plans that they had for the country because they were both trying to go at each other's necks, trying to up like get one up to somebody or go better over someone. When we're just trying to see who will be the best person for America to lead for the next 4 years, and even though how bad that was, it needs to be another one so we can really understand where they're coming from. Now it will better
Yeah,
America.
Cornell, I agree. I see where you're coming from, but at the same time, Twitter has been a big thing in the presidential election, and they have these big platforms to tell people. And on the debate, for me, it was just them showing their true colors, because people will show you who they are every single day. You just have to believe them. So I think that the debate was just so eye-opening to where a lot of people were like, we've been seeing this for 4 years. I can't believe we're just now starting to understand it. And when they're using these things and making these commercials and posting stuff on Instagram and YouTube and Twitter and all these things, and they're going back and forth instead of addressing the issues and making sure that the people are content with what's going to happen, instead of going back and forth about their personal life. We don't care. We don't care about who did this, who did that. We want to know that when you get into that office, that you're going to do whatever it takes to make the citizens of the United States happy by any means necessary.
I really
I have to agree with Cornell. I feel like we should have more debates, but if President Trump and Joe Biden, if they are not going to abide by the rules, then there won't be any more debates. It's important that we have debates in place so we can hear the different points of views of the two gentlemen. But if one person is going to speak over the other, then that person should not be able to be in the debate, and we'll just hear the other person's point of views, because there's no need to go back and forth. You guys are old men. I'm pretty sure you understand when somebody's talking, you need to be quiet and wait until they're done. So if they can't abide by the rules, then there could be no more debates.
Yeah,
I'm surprised. I'm surprised none of them have high blood pressure after that. That's high blood pressure.
just to piggyback off of what Ilani said, I was going to say the same thing. There shouldn't be a second debate, really. I think it should just be us listening. I think it should just be Biden there talking about his perspective because we all know Trump has no plan. He's just going to go out there and wing it like he normally does and screw everything up again. Biden has a plan and we need to hear his plan. There's no reason for us to go and hear Trump's plan if we know he doesn't have one. So I don't think there should be a second debate. Really, I think it should just be. I really think it should just be Biden going out there to tell his plan to the world.
Yeah, I think they should be separate because together they bring so much toxic and negative energy that nobody is able to hear or comprehend anything that they're saying. The debate is meaningless. It was a waste of airtime that could have been used productively in another way. And I think that if we are going to have them and we want them to talk to us, I think it should be separate. I think we should have Biden talk, then we should have Trump talk, because them together is not going to accomplish anything. They're going to be going back and forth instead of talking to the people, and that's what we need.
Yeah,
I
and
will say Joe Biden handled the situation very well. I know it was very hard for him to get his point across, but he did do a good job with the time that he did have to speak. I will also say the next debate with Pence and Kamala Harris is going to be, I'm very excited about that because I know Kamala Harris has some great points, and when she is done, Pence he will have nothing to say. So
And she's going to handle it with such poise. That's the thing. She's going to be so classy.
yeah, and just to add, I just want to say that before we move on, going to school the day after that election was a literal war zone. It was honestly one of the most exciting days I've had in a while this past year because there were just so many, I guess, like ignorant people that I guess didn't actually, watch the debate. They just, saw the little things on Twitter or the things they saw on TikTok, the little bits. And I'll share one of my favorite stories of what happened that day. One of these girls I sit with at lunch, she was trying to explain to me on how Biden was in the wrong the whole time and how Trump is like the best president, right? And I was trying to just stay silent, just eat my lunch, just see how this plays out before I talk. But then she said something. She said, just because Trump is racist doesn't mean he's a bad president. And I understand where she was coming from as a white woman, but as someone who is African American, that really hit close to home because if I have a racist president, then he doesn't have my best interest at heart. And I agree with everyone saying we should not have any more debates. I do want to hear their points so people don't vote for their parties, they vote for their views. But more debates is not going to get anything done.
Yeah, about your friend, I think that's important. If you can't be president to all people, you don't need to be president at all. If you're going to be discriminatory against any group, against anybody, you have no business being in that office. Or you should keep those things to yourself and at least try to act like you accept all people, because openly doing that shows a lot about who you are.
Exactly.
I mean, you can't have a racist president. I mean, you can't. That's not going to work. Because if you weren't racist, maybe you would have a little bit more votes. But you're really racist. You don't care about blacks. You only care about your kind. You're rich. What do I call them? I don't even know what to call them. Caucasians.
Yeah. I have to
friends, associates.
I have to agree with Colin. Like, how are you president of the United States when you bring the coronavirus on the Asians? You leave Mexicans in cages, and then you talk down about the African Americans. That's not what a leader's supposed to do. And if you can't do that and see everybody's points of views and see that there are issues in America and that they need to be fixed, then you do not need to have the leadership role as president of the United States.
Yeah, so just to piggyback off of what
I agree with you, Ilani. And
okay, so just
you can go, Evan. I'll wait.
all right, thanks. Just to piggyback off of what Ilani said, He literally said himself, "I've done more for the black community than any other president, with the exception of Abraham Lincoln." My question to you, Mr. President, is how did you do more for the black community than a black man himself? You did more for the community than Obama? You're telling me you did more for the community than he didn't do more for his type of people who really struggle more than the whites. The whites, they don't have to worry about struggling in life. They know they're either going to get help somehow. Us blacks, we have to work for every little bit of our life. So that was my only question, is how do you do more for the black community than Obama?
I mean,
I saw where you were coming from. I agree with Ronnie, and Trump is not a president. I feel like he America like a business. He's only worried about a subset of people, like maybe the people that are really feeding into him and putting their trust into him, and only worrying about them. And then everybody else who are like the workers are just affected and pooped on just because he doesn't care about what we think. Like everybody, the minorities, not just blacks, like Latinos, like everyone. Just how he is not caring about anything except himself, his money, and now he's gonna get to the top.
And my thing is, how are you going to talk down on somebody when you only pay $750 in taxes?
exactly.
Like, there are people that are less fortunate than us on this show, and they pay more than you. So if you're going to talk down about somebody, it should be yourself. You do not need to put others down just because you cannot handle yourself and be a leader and tell the truth.
You better talk about it, because that is so serious. Like, how you making all this money, and the people who are in the middle class and the working class are basically footing everything that you're doing. We're paying for your salary, and you're going to talk down about us. You're not only racist, you're sexist, you're misogynistic. So there's so many issues that are going wrong, but you want to talk about us. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. There's people down in the inner city who pay more money in taxes than you. And you're saying on the debate, he lies. He said I paid millions of money. I mean, like my mom says, he lies like a rug.
And you could pull up his taxes right on your phone too. So there is no need to lie. No need to lie.
Yeah, and I was just talking with my mom. Like, my mom was just telling me how she barely believes he even has the coronavirus because she doesn't believe a word that comes out of that man's mouth. And honestly, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I don't see why he would lie about that, but if he was, I mean, she said it was for sympathy purposes, which coming from him, it would make a lot of sense. I think, closing this topic, we should get into the topic of All Lives Matter versus Black Lives Matter. Going back to school, I've seen more perspectives on All Lives Matter versus Black Lives Matter, especially on the All Lives Matter side. Still, it makes no sense. But really quickly, since we only have a little bit of time left, go over what that is. Cornell, you can go first.
With Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, it's just a protest to the protest. All Lives Matter was literally, it's trying to poop on Black lives. We understand that the people who say Black Lives Matter know that all lives do matter, but in this situation, in this time, we're trying to focus on Black lives. Those lives are being taken and treated like they're nothing. But the people who say all lives matter are just trying, that's just pretty much them saying that.
Yeah, I think it's dismissive.
I have to agree. Oh, you can go, Nyla.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's dismissive to come behind a protest that is trying to get equality for Black people that we are born with, that God gave us, to say that all lives matter, and they do. But when we are treated like they don't, there has to be something said where we matter as well. So yes, Black lives matter, and you cannot come behind that and say all lives matter or blue lives matter, because that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the Black lives that you are treating so disrespectfully and whose rights you are taking away when you don't hold that power.
I mean,
I have to agree with the.
why are you even bringing up Blue Lives Matter? Like, come on. We're talking about Black Lives Matter. Why are we talking about Blue Lives Matter to make more conflict, make more riots? It's Black Lives Matter right now. It's not all lives matter right now. It's Black Lives Matter right now. When Black Lives Matter, when we have the situation under control and all the charges go against these police officers, then we can talk about all lives matter. But right now, the only lives that matter are Black Lives Matters. But everybody's life matters. But right now, Black Lives Matter.
I have to agree with both Ella and Colin. All lives don't matter until Black Lives Matter. Breonna Taylor's life matters. George Floyd's life matters. Tamir Rice's life matters. Ahmaud Arbery's life matters. And until the Black people's lives matter, and all these issues, such as police brutality, all these issues we are able to move forward. We are able to move forward, then all lives are able to matter. But right now, we need to focus on Black Lives Matter, because that is the issue right now in our society that we have to fix. And until that is fixed, we won't be able to move on to all lives matter.
Absolutely, because they want to say we have too many goals and we don't know what we want. So when we do stick to one thing and we say we want equality for all Black lives, then the issue changes. Then the problem becomes, okay, but now are you saying that white lives matter or all this stuff? No, we're still saying that, but you as a society wanted us to find a common goal and stick with that. And now that we found that, you want to discredit us and what we're trying to do. No, because injustice for anybody, justice for nobody, or injustice for anybody, it's just discrimination all across the board. It doesn't matter whether you're being discriminated by a white man or whether you're just being discriminated by your own kind. If you're being discriminated against, that's what matters. And like Alana said, all lives can't matter until Black lives matter. And once that situation is under control, then we can move into justice for all. But when we're not 100% complete on each individual group in America, then we can't say, okay, now we can work on everybody. No, you have to have a plan, and Black Lives Matter is our plan. So do not come behind that and discredit what we're doing by saying all lives matter.
And we built all this, all these.
All lives matter. All lives matter is really just the protest to the protest that people have been trying to like set for years and years to come. Like ever since like the civil rights movement, that's when pretty much Black Lives Matter really started. And like just to say all lives matter, especially in this time where you can have a white man disrespect a police officer and everything. The police officer do nothing, but then when a Black man doesn't put his hands on his head and moves his hands, he got kicked in the back and got slammed to the ground just because he moved his hands. And just to see that, and then you want to go say all lives matter and blue lives matter, you need to have Black Lives Matter first, like what Alani said and Anila said. And sorry for cutting you off, Colin.
Some people don't realize that some people, they'll say, yeah, all lives matter, but Black Lives Matter also, like they say Black Lives Matter, but I believe all lives matter too. But what people don't realize is that all lives matter is just a protest to bring Black Lives Matter down. And I've seen so many like ridiculous things. Like I was watching the news one day, and this is kind of like tied into wearing a mask. There was this lady, she was saying that you guys are protesting for Black Lives Matter, and you're saying that George Floyd had a knee on his neck and he couldn't breathe, but we can't breathe with these masks on. So that was just like that. The fact that they even compared that to Black Lives Matter, what people don't understand is the reason why we're saying Black Lives Matter is because we're the ones that are being killed, and we're the ones that are being discriminated against. And, you know, we're the ones that have to struggle all the time. And they want to come up with all these different stereotypes and everything, but like we don't get things like white people do. Like we don't get the same salary or anything. And so when we say Black Lives Matter, we're saying like we matter, like we have to have the same things that you guys do. Like they don't understand that we're not getting the same, the same things as them. And so all lives matter. Yeah, all lives matter, but all lives matter don't matter to Black Lives Matter, because all lives matter isn't saying that Black lives matter. It's saying that Black lives don't matter, all lives matter. It's just a protest to bring Black Lives Matter down. And that's what people have to realize.
And what I was saying is, we built this whole entire thing. We built this place. We built everything, and they still can't respect us. You brought us down here, and we built everything for you, and you still can't respect us. We're the ones who deserve all this praise, not you guys. You guys didn't build anything. You guys just brought us down here, whooped us, and made us pick your cotton. We built this whole entire place. You did not build anything. You need to respect us.
Yeah, and just to finish this off before we close, as for police officers, they can take off their uniforms, they can take off their police gear, and they won't be underprivileged, they won't be discriminated against. But Black people, we can't change the color of our skin. We're like this 24/7, 365 days a year. We can't change anything. I don't know. Okay, we're good. As we come to a close this week's podcast, I would like to share one final statement that you think our viewers should hear. I'll start with a quote from the late John Lewis. It's, "If you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, you have a moral obligation to do something about it." And I personally think everyone in our country should take these words to heart. Evan, I think you had something to say.
Actually, I have a quote that I want to share from Chadwick Boseman. Sorry. "When you are deciding on next steps, next jobs, next careers, further education, you should rather find purpose than a job or a career. Purpose crosses disciplines. Purpose is an essential element of you. It is the reason you are on the planet at this particular time in history."
Well, thank you guys for these wonderful quotes, and you guys want to say bye to everyone?
Yeah, I just have one more thing to say. Vote, guys. Go out and vote, please.
Thank you everyone for tuning into SPK. As always, thank you to our panelists, and special thank you to Cornell for joining us this week. We look forward to you joining us on our next show, December 5th, same time, same place.